Stop scrolling for just 1 minute, and let's talk about that moment. That flash of incandescent rage, the wave of soul-crushing sadness, the searing, righteous fear. The moment you recognized the emotion, felt it rising like water in your throat, and then you slammed the door on it. You swallowed it. You forced it down with a silent, iron-willed command. Not now. Not ever. What did you do with that feeling? Where did you put that volatile, live energy? We are experts at emotional sleight of hand, performing a daily disappearing act where the raw, vital emotions of the moment are shoved into a locked compartment, sealed and dismissed. We do this for comfort, for control, for the crushing social pressure that demands we be fine. We fear the messiness of conflict, the sting of judgment, or the shame of vulnerability more than we fear the slow, toxic build-up inside. We convince ourselves that being the one who never makes a fuss, the peacekeeper, the reliable, unflappable person who always has it together, is the highest form of strength. But silence is not strength, it's an unsustainable, accelerating debt, and the interest on that debt is paid in years of your life and the peace of your soul. The unsaid emotions do not vanish, they transmute. They trade their volatile, verbal form for a dense, insidious, psychological weight that settles deep in your core, growing heavier with every passing hour. It's an internal archive of suffering. You're not just suppressing an isolated moment of anger. You are endorsing a core, foundational belief. My feelings are wrong, inconvenient, or invalid. Every time you smile instead of speaking your truth, every time you nod when you mean to shake your head, you reinforce this self-betrayal. This chronic denial is the single greatest root of burnout, mental fatigue, and profound inner alienation. You become a stranger to yourself, constantly living life filtered through an exhausting, cheerful mask that requires tremendous energy to maintain. Imagine your emotional energy is water pressure. You have a constant inflow of life experiences, disappointments, betrayals, excitements, and fears. The spoken word is the valve that releases the pressure. When you repress, you close that valve. The water keeps flowing. The pressure builds, and soon you're no longer dealing with simple anger, but with a vault of unsaid feelings overflowing. This vault is what turns a minor annoyance, a misplaced key, a slightly late bus, into a massive, disproportionate, explosive reaction. You're not reacting to the bus. You're reacting to the 6 months of being overlooked, the year of silent financial worry, the decade of being the good child. The emotional debt has come due, and the resulting chaos confirms your worst fear, that expressing yourself leads to destruction. And so, the cycle of repression deepens. The body, however, keeps the score. It is the ultimate, non-negotiable recipient of all that unresolved emotional residue. When you repress anger or anxiety, your brain initiates a full-scale panic response. Your body still floods with powerful stress hormones, cortisol and adrenaline, preparing you for a fight or flight that never happens. You've locked down the exit, and that trapped physiological energy must find a place to reside. It becomes what psychologists call the tension armor. This armor manifests as chronic tension that locks your jaw shut, a condition often called bruxism, literally grinding down the words you can't speak. The knot that tightens your shoulders and neck, the literal weight of the world. Or the incessant grinding pain in your lower back, a lack of support or a need to stand tall you refuse to acknowledge. This is not just muscle soreness. This is your biology screaming the words your mouth refused to say. Consider Sarah, the workplace martyr, whose story is far more common than you realize. Every time her boss took credit for her work, or a male colleague dismissed her innovative ideas, or the manager piled on unreasonable deadlines, she smiled and nodded, saying, "No problem, I'll handle it." Sarah thought she was being professional. She was actually poisoning her system. That daily, insidious micro-trauma of swallowed aggression kept her sympathetic nervous system on high alert 24/7. Her body translated the injustice into physical ailments, crippling acid reflux that burned her throat with unsaid criticisms, persistent migraines that felt like a vice squeezing the life out of her thoughts, and sleepless nights where she replayed the day's slights in a silent loop. Her tension headache is not random. It is the physical culmination of the argument she refused to have, the mind's neurological response to locking down the truth. "Stop, this is unfair, I need recognition." She traded a 5-minute uncomfortable conversation for years of medical bills and chronic pain. She isolated herself, feeling increasingly misunderstood, yet incapable of communicating the root cause, reinforcing the need to repress further. Or look at Mark, the family caretaker, a man whose silence became his identity. Taught early that his primary value was utility and sacrifice, he put his needs last. He silently managed his siblings' financial dramas, cared for aging parents, and deferred his own life goals, the travel, the career change, the simple pursuit of happiness, without ever voicing the personal cost. He felt utterly unseen, yet refused to ask for help, viewing neediness as a sign of weakness or failure. His reward for this self-sacrifice is a profound, persistent low-grade depression. The total lack of self-expression led directly to anhedonia, the inability to feel pleasure. Mark didn't just mute the bad feelings, he turned down the volume on his entire life. The world felt flat, muted and grey because he had sacrificed his inner vibrancy for the sake of an external, silent role. When his partner finally asked what was wrong, Mark honestly couldn't articulate it, leading to a frustrating, isolating cycle where his silence pushed away the very people he was sacrificing himself for. This constant silence fundamentally poisons your intimacy. If you are not present with your own reality, you cannot be truly present with another person's. Repression prevents true connection because you are never showing your genuine self, only the controlled, manicured mask. The resentment you swallow, the unexpressed anger at a partner who leaves dirty dishes or forgets an anniversary, doesn't stay contained. It leaks out, becoming passive aggressiveness, subtle sabotage, silent withdrawal, feigned forgetfulness, or weaponized incompetence. Your partner knows something is wrong, senses the hostility, but cannot address it because you deny the feeling. This dynamic creates a psychological chase, forcing others to guess and solve your internal problems, which destroys trust and breeds exhaustion on both sides. You have replaced direct communication with a toxic guessing game. Furthermore, when you constantly hide the fear, the anger, or the grief, you effectively short-circuit your entire emotional guidance system. You lose the ability to feel the joy, the peace, and the love fully, too. The repression acts like a powerful dimmer switch, slowly muting your entire emotional spectrum. This chronic numbness is a defense mechanism that eventually isolates you entirely. You stop understanding yourself. When someone asks you how you feel, you genuinely might not know, a condition called alexithymia, where you can register physical discomfort but cannot translate it into emotional language. The cost is the erosion of your intuition, the disconnection from the gut feeling that should guide your most important life decisions. The body finds other ways to speak. If you repress your vulnerability and fear, your stomach might take over the speaking role, leading to chronic irritable bowel syndrome, IBS, where your gut clenches and rebels against the anxiety the rest of your system is trying to ignore. If you repress grief, you might find yourself with chronic fatigue or fibromyalgia, your physical energy depleted by the endless internal battle to keep the lid on the pain. Every single physical symptom is a personalized letter from your body, written in the language of pain and discomfort, saying, "Look at me, listen to what I am holding." And this brings us to the crucial, non-negotiable step of self-preservation, listening to your intuition. Intuition isn't magic, and it's certainly not some vague spiritual concept. It's the lightning-fast summary of all your swallowed experiences, the cumulative, non-verbal knowledge of your nervous system screaming at you. When you walk into a new job interview and the hair on your arm stands up, when you meet a potential partner and a deep knot tightens in your abdomen, that isn't random noise. That is your body, your subconscious mind, processing 1,000 tiny, non-verbal cues. The subtle evasiveness in their eyes, the tight, controlling tone in their voice, the historical red flags that your logical brain is trying to override, and delivering a single, undeniable verdict: danger, withdrawal, not safe. The repressed person is an expert at silencing this deepest signal. You learn to silence the knot in your stomach because you value politeness, or a perceived stability, or a fear of being alone more than you value your own survival instinct. You stay in the toxic job or the dead-end relationship because your mind rationalizes it with bullet points and pros-cons lists. It pays the bills. It's the best I can do. It's not that bad. But your gut knows the absolute, unflinching truth. This is fundamentally wrong for my soul. The cost of constantly overriding that powerful internal signal is severe. It means you walk constantly toward things that hurt you, all because you prioritized external, often flawed logic over your intrinsic, internal wisdom. You have to understand that your intuition, that gut feeling, that sense of dread, the feeling of something being off, is the voice of your authentic self trying to break through the armor of repression. Reclaiming your voice is fundamentally about reclaiming your right to trust the data your body is feeding you. It is the core of self-preservation, and it's the only compass that will guide you back to an integrated, vibrant life. The journey back to lightness is not found in grand gestures, but in the small, consistent decision to break this decades-long habit of silence. It is not an event. It is a long road of retrieval. Step 1. Listening to the whisper. The first step is to move the emotional conversation from the abstract brain to the physical body. You must learn interoception, the conscious awareness of your internal bodily states. When you feel irritation rising, don't try to solve it. Instead, stop and ask, where is this feeling located in my body? Is it a band across my forehead, a heat in my cheeks, a hollow feeling in my chest? This observation, without judgment, interrupts the repressive cycle. You are training yourself to treat your body's signals as vital, non-negotiable data. Naming the feeling in the body is the first act of release, the first moment of honesty. Step 2. Journaling the scream. You cannot leap from total silence to eloquent confrontation. You need a safe, uncensored space to practice honesty. This is your journal, but not a polished diary. It is a place for the raw truth. Write down the feeling as it happens, without censoring the rage, the silliness, or the neediness. The mantra is, write it, don't say it, yet. This is rehearsal. This is where you practice the full vocabulary of your soul, reclaiming the words that your fear has banned. This practice lessens the pressure, making the eventual verbal expression less explosive. Step 3. The low-stakes conversation. Once you can identify the feeling and articulate it privately, you must practice voicing it publicly, starting small. Practice with a trusted, neutral mirror, a therapist, a close friend, or a supportive partner. Use the I feel statement to structure communication around non-accusatory reality. When X happened, I felt Y, and I need Z. Example. When you cancelled our dinner without calling, I felt anxious and unimportant, and I need us to confirm timing 10 minutes beforehand. This focuses on your internal experience, not external blame, making the listener less defensive and the risk of conflict manageable. Step 4. Building the boundary wall. Repression is often the desperate symptom of poor personal boundaries. You swallow your needs because you lack the internal wall necessary to protect them. Learning to voice a boundary is the ultimate antidote to swallowing. This starts with the gentle but firm no. Practice saying no to small requests, even when it feels deeply uncomfortable. Every no is an act of radical self-care. It reclaims your time and space, reducing the situations where frustration accumulates. It transforms you from a martyr who waits to be rescued into an active participant who directs their own well-being. The weight of the unsaid is immense, a dense, invisible shroud woven from fear, misguided loyalty, and profound misunderstanding. It is the silent killer of joy, intimacy, and health, and it separates you from the simple, vibrant experience of being truly alive. The path to lightness is a conscious, daily choice to let a feeling surface, to name it, and to risk the momentary discomfort of expression for the enduring, profound relief of honesty. Your voice is not a weapon of chaos. It is the ultimate tool for liberation. It is the key to dismantling the silent archive of your suffering and reclaiming the vibrant, integrated self that lies beneath the mask. If you love this story and want to hear more like it, please hit that subscribe button. It truly means the world to us and helps us grow. And hey, while you're at it, let's aim for 50 likes on this video. Help us smash that goal.